Welcome to the first day of questioning of the undercover police officer Jim Boyling, who used the cover name Jim Sutton, had the code name Psycho Dream HN14. He'll be giving evidence over 4 days. I'm joined by remote link with Chris Bryan of the Undercover Research Group. Yes, going to try and do more things, mix it up. I'm also joined off screen by Jessica.
Hey.
Who's obviously got anonymity. Jessica, who was deceived into a long-term intimate relationship by the undercover police officer Andy Coles, and a regular watcher of all things Spy Cops.
Yes, can't get away from it.
Yeah. So it's Boyling. We're finally here with Boyling. We always say, oh, this officer's the worst one.
Yeah, no, I've always said that I think he's the worst one. I hate all of them, but he's the one I hate most. I think he's a sick, nasty bastard, and I can't wait to hear the crap that he's going to say today. So yeah, an absolutely thoroughly hideous human being.
Sadistic, nasty bastard. Chris, you got any raise on that?
I don't have too much to add to that. I guess a bit of background. I don't know how many people tuning in don't know anything, but he obviously had a number of relationships, including with Rosa and Monica.
And Ruth.
So I just turned my alarm off for the stream. He infiltrated first, reclaimed the streets, generally hung about. Codename Psycho Dream, which I think one of the more appropriate code names, say. It's
Psychopathic nightmare, I think, is probably more the case. Yeah, he was also a hunt sab as well.
Yeah, we heard last week from 3 witnesses who were targeted by him. First, we heard from Monica, who was the first woman who he deceived into an intimate relationship. She gave very harrowing testimony last Tuesday. We have covered that in over the weekend. We put out 2 new episodes of the Spy Cops Info podcast, one of which was a recap of the week where we covered Monica's evidence. The other of which was a special episode of a reuniting of 6 Reclaim the Streets activists who talked about the statement they put in about Boyling and questions they have for him. That one just came out this morning. If you haven't had a chance to listen to it yet, I really recommend it. I think it'll go well alongside the evidence of Boyling. As well as Monica, on Wednesday, we heard from 2 witnesses from Reclaim the Streets. Roger Geffin, who is a prominent cycling advocate campaigner, but was active in Reclaim the Streets, as well as GRD, who was someone who wouldn't have defined themselves as a Reclaim the Streets activist, but was recruited by Boyling to take part in some direct action, which Boyling himself organised, the crashing of cars in order to block the road for June the 18th, Carnival Against Capitalism. What they said, what all 3 of those witnesses said, I'm sure we'll feed into the questions that we have for I'm not sure who it is. I'm presuming David Barr will be asking the questions, but that hasn't been confirmed. I haven't actually asked, to be honest. Which is, But
Boyling also involved with a few GM crop trashing, wasn't he, as well?
The first GM crop trashing,
definitely. He definitely went out of London, although he was very much London based. He done quite a few actions outside, sort of rural actions. The Good Friday the hunt sab is the big hunt sab thing. I keep on calling it the Good Friday Easter egg hunt. That's not right though, is it? So it was a hunt sab, not an Easter egg hunt. There's quite a lot of things. He'd done a lot of driving, as was kind of things going on with his deployment. Obviously, with Rosa, we know that's public knowledge that he got back together with her after his deployment, and they had a couple of kids together. I was just rereading it's quite a good article on Wales Online written a while ago. Quite a detailed article which I posted on Facebook earlier.
So I've just been handed a document. I've just been handed a piece of paper. Oh no! Okay, sorry, I'm not allowed to talk about what's on the piece of paper yet, but maybe later on I will. I'm not sure why it's been handed to me whilst I'm live on air. I'm not allowed to talk about it, but it's very exciting. Yes, sorry, Chris. I do apologise.
That's okay. I'm intrigued now by the bit of paper.
Well, you should be.
Yeah, so it's interesting. So one of the other things about Boyling is that he fathered 2 children with one of the women he was spying on, and yeah, it's going to be really interesting, but also quite harrowing, I think, to listen to him talk about that today, and just the kind of nonsense that he'll be saying, and it's quite. So there's a lot of the women actually that were deceived into relationships that are here to support the women that he had relationships with today. It's been quite a show of solidarity for them, because I think this is going to be really difficult to listen to. I mean, they all lie, that's what spy cops do. They're full of shit. But I think he's going to be sort of one of the worst. So, yeah, I think it's going to be quite a difficult day today. But I think we've got the I think we'll talk about it. I don't think I can say like where it came from. I think I'm allowed to talk about it. The spy cops.
I went to show it, but I was talked out of it, and now Jessica's about to talk about it.
Yeah,
so it's not my fault. Shall I show it on screen?
Yeah. Why not?
So this is the piece of paper.
Oh, okay.
It's a Spy Cops bingo card,
Boiling edition.
Yeah. So if anyone listening hears sort of during the inquiry someone stand up and shout bingo, it's because we've hit all the bullshit excuses that's on the bingo card. Things were different then. Memory's not what it was. I can't recall. I wasn't there. Extremists. Dangerous environment. It was a long time ago. Sort of, there's a few ones specific to Boiling, but a lot of the usual ones that they trot out and ask a difficult question that they don't want to answer.
Yeah, I mean, we were, because Rosa was meant to give evidence on Thursday, but unfortunately wasn't able to do so. We hope that she'll come back in June in order to give evidence. But people won't have heard the story of how she was deceived by Boiling, a deceptive relationship that resulted in the birth of 2 children. And there are a lot of details around that, which I'm not going to talk about right now. But I'm sure that will. It's unclear what we never know what order questions are going to be asked of the witnesses.
Yeah.
It may be that we don't come to anything about the relationships today, which is always incredibly difficult for those who were personally affected, because you kind of steel yourself to go through hearing about these things, and then it's. You wait all day, and then it's the next day, or even the day after. I mean, he's scheduled for 4 days. It may be that it's only 3 of actual questioning. They usually book in a 4th day regardless. But yeah.
It depends if he does a Lambert and sort of strings the answers out for an extra day or so.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we saw. I mean, Lambert ended up doing, how many days did he do in the end?
I think it was 2 extra days.
Yeah. He got, I think, yeah, and he was already booked in for longer than anybody else. I mean, he was a close associate is a close associate of Bob Lambert. His career after the police was very close, and in the police, very closely tied to his professional relationship with Bob Lambert. We can only hope that Lambert hasn't taught him how to answer questions, because I don't think I could go through. That again.
God. We'll be going through that again in June or July, because Lambert will be doing that again. Yeah. But yeah, but Boiling, yeah, I don't know what. I mean, Boiling is the only one who's been disciplined by the police. I kind of hope that that's really pissed him off. So therefore, he's going to be a bit more forthcoming, at least in some respects. I don't know if that will be the case, but out of all the people that have deserved to be disciplined in one way or the other, I mean, if I was him, I'd be feeling, why me? Why have all the other ones who are just as bad, as bad as me? So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't seem to get kind of affect their sort of sense of loyalty being mistreated by the unit, though. I mean, we've heard of plenty of officers who've complained about the unit and still managed to maintain some degree of loyalty. As ever, as I always say, if you want to see what true solidarity looks like, don't look to the workers' movement, look to the way in which cops cover for each other when caught out in wrongdoing.
Yeah, I mean, that has broken down, doesn't it, to some extent? But I mean, there's been, I think, since the beginning of Tranche 2, there's been 2 camps, the loyalists and the the ones, the disloyalists and people of, But then there's different kinds of loyalty. There's loyalty to the Met in general, and loyalty to particular officers, of particular cliques within the SDS as well, isn't there? So.
Yeah, very much. We could, it would be amazing if Boyling would actually kind of spill his guts a bit about what the unit was like, about the kind of the tacit, the acceptance that existed within the unit, about the deceiving and the deception and the abuse of women. I'm not holding my breath, to be perfectly honest. I wouldn't expect too much from the man, given his appalling track record and abusive history.
I mean, he has actually said that that Chipface Andy Coles told him that to have like relationships was inevitable, and basically it's sort of it's a bit of a tacit agreement. But also he said that reading the Traycroft manual, that was his understanding, was that it was acceptable to have sexual relationships, or even fleeting and disastrous ones, which is completely opposite to what Andy Coles said that it was supposed to have meant.
Yeah, I mean, I think anybody with a basic understanding of the English language would accept that what it says in the Tradecraft manual is that relationships are acceptable. The way in which Andy Coles tried to defend that and say no, that wasn't what it meant was just ridiculous, and like an insult to anybody has basic cognitive skills, I would argue. It's just absolute nonsense. I mean, and just even entertaining it feels like an insult to everybody. You know what I mean? Like, what utter rot. It's we don't expect much from Boyling, but I mean, it's incredibly significant we've got here. Of all the undercover officers who kind of, you kind of feel might have just done a runner and avoided it, I always had him down as being one. As far as we know, he's in the building. He's due to start giving evidence in 15 minutes because of the 10-minute delay. That's 25 minutes from now. So 10 past 10, you'll be able to tune in.
Today, that's right, isn't it, for him?
What's that?
We'll be able to see him on
yes,
on YouTube.
You'll be able to see him. Yeah. I'm just going to share the link. If you're not, I'll just try and I'll share the link on all the platforms just as a comment before on the videos. So you'll be able to tune in from 10 past 10 to hear exactly what he has to say. I'll be doing and hopefully others will be doing the usual sort of Twitter commentary of what's being said. Let me just put that in. So is there anything particular that you, any particular incidents you think are likely to be highlighted, you'd like to draw people's attention to, Chris?
No, really. I mean, it's hard to say one thing or the other. One of the things that sticks in my mind, just because I wrote about it quite a while ago, was him being at Kingston Green Fair with Rosa and then bumping into basically his successor in Reclaim the Streets, who's giving evidence next month or the end of this month, Jason Bishop.
Right.
And that being a whole thing. Sort of kind of like and Rosa recalls that happening, and that was like one of the things that points at which she said that she was told by Boyding about, the fact there's a whole bunch of undercovers around, and Bishop being one of them.
Yeah, I mean that's incredibly significant in terms of how the campaign against these units really developed, with other women finding out, getting confirmation from based on that conversation. I think that's going to be hugely significant. It'd be interesting to see if that actually does come up early on in the questioning. Generally, the way these things are structured, it starts off with the sort of background history of the officer in the unit, and goes through the early years of their deployment, how they got an understanding of how they put together the reports, a lot of administrative questions. Yet, having said that, in previous times, David Barr has gone off script and gone straight in with a searching question, and we only have to wait and see what that is going to be.
Often, I think, when recently, the last couple, correct me if I'm wrong, he's done a sort of brief preview of the questions, so to speak, on the relationships, and then gone on to other issues on the first day, and then gone back to the relationships on the second and following days. That's how I remember it unfolding. Yeah, so. But I mean, there will be a lot about his sort of background as a police officer. I imagine today as well, leading up to then. So.
Just to say that we've got 35 people watching. Only one person has liked it. If you're able to share this broadcast, like it, all that kind of stuff, it really, it's such a cheesy thing to say.
It. Come on, guys.
Yeah. Please leave a comment. We'll put your comment on screen if it's sensible. If you'd like to join us, I'm just joined now by Kate Wilson,
Hi, Kate.
regular of this parish. Let me just bring her into focus. You've just come from some sort of demo outside, haven't you?
Oh, it wasn't really a demo. It's just the RTS core participants got together with a load of June the 18 masks to take a picture. There's quite a lot of us here today. Obviously, people are keen to see Boyling, see what he has to say, really.
Yeah. I mean, we've just been chatting about what we're looking forward to hearing from Boyling. Is there anything you'd like to highlight? You kind of, I mean, we're just saying, obviously he's been questioned over 4 days, so the way that it generally tends to work, we don't really get to the relationship straight away. It might get mentioned today, but there's so much to go through with him.
Yeah, I mean, the first days are often quite dull because they tend to start with the early career. How did you hear about the STS? What kind of training did you get? And basically, it's always pretty dull because they didn't really get any training, and they all deny knowing about the Tradecraft manual. And there is a chance that Boyling is going to be more interesting because he is the only officer who has been disciplined, and he in fact lost his job for gross misconduct over his behaviour while he was undercover, and he's quite peeved about that because he, I think quite rightly, says, well, everyone was doing it, the managers were at it, like, why am I the only one who's getting shit for this? So there is a chance that he is going to be a little bit more candid than some of the earlier officers that we've heard from. There's also some very interesting questions about the early tasking of Jim Boyling. So Jim Boyling, a lot of people will know him as one of the long-standing members of Reclaim the Streets, involved in the core organisation of a lot of the actions. He was driving a van on the M41, and I think he was one of the organisers for all the big Reclaim the Streets actions after that. But actually, if you look at Boyling's initial tasking, he was sent to spy on the ALF. And so there's some interesting questions to be asked about that. Changed what happened that took him out of the Hunt Sabs and into Reclaim the Streets. What were the policing priorities? Boyling himself actually claims to have been part of a criminal investigation around incendiary device attacks in East London. We heard about this when GRD was giving evidence on Wednesday afternoon. So far, we've looked, we can't find any evidence of these incendiary device attacks in East London. There are documents referring to 50 attacks over 10 years. It's thought that somebody in the animal rights movement from the area would have heard of at least one of them. But so far, we haven't been able to find any evidence of these actual crimes that Boyling was supposed to be investigating. And
bit of a theme, that. Bit of a theme.
It is a bit of a theme.
There's a lot of...
Sounds like another Operation Lime. Maybe Operation Lemon. Yeah. I don't know.
Yes, but Operation Lime, the motivation for it is clear. He was getting towards the end of his deployment. He wanted to stay in. Operation Gant is the excuse for deploying Boyling in the first place. And as far as we can tell, this comes from Bob Lambert. He's initially deployed into the East London Animal Rights Group, which, if you remember from T2, is the group that Jackie, the woman that Bob Lambert deceived into a relationship and had a child with, was involved in. And there appears to be this initial tasking for Jim Boyling appears to have been concocted by Bob Lambert, and he's sent in to Lambert's old patch, essentially. He sticks around for a few months, supposedly doing this really important key work around, incendiary device attacks by the ALF, and then just decides to go and spy on some street parties and make sure sandpits don't appear in the streets. I mean, it's quite inexplicable, and there's some quite outlandish allegations. I don't know how much of it I can talk about. We're hoping that Boyling's witness statement will be published today, and some of these initial tasking documents hopefully will be published today. But yeah, that's very early in his deployment, and there is a chance that we will get to those issues during questioning today. They usually go in roughly chronological order. So
yeah, I'm aware we're due to start in 5 minutes, so I need to go and get my place. Thanks for joining us. Please do tune in for the later videos. We're doing one during all the breaks. I'll be posting on Twitter throughout, as well others. Please share those if you're able to, like them, tell your friends, all that sort of thing. Thanks for joining us. See you in a little bit. Bye for now.
bye-bye.
Cheers. Take care. Bye, guys. Bye.